Oh, wow. Look at that. That's pretty nice. I wonder how we got here. Let me take you back. I start off as every other artist does and go to the godforsaken site known as Pinterest, and I look at other stolen people's artwork as inspiration for my own artwork. It is continuous scrolling, clicking until I figure out the overall vibe that I want for the piece. I'll pick out different pictures that have similar themes and elements that I want to incorporate in my own piece of art. Now let's get into the concept. I knew that I definitely wanted a sunset type of vibe. I love the way the sky looks as the sun is setting. The orange in the clouds just looks so beautiful, so I knew I wanted to capture that feeling within my painting, but I also knew that I wanted some mountains. And I ended up scrapping my original idea of the purple mountains because it wasn't flowing the way that I wanted it to. So I ended up finding this new image on Pinterest, a little bit more vibrant. It spoke to me. It called me, beckoned me to draw it. Now this is probably my favorite part of the painting, which is the lady. One thing all my pieces have in common is there's going to be a lady in it, and I thought it would be fun and interesting to place a giant woman in the middle of this painting. Who doesn't like a tall lady? And I wanted the lady to kind of reference Steven Universe, and more particularly, I wanted her to kind of have similar traits to my beloved Blue Diamond. She's truly one of my favorite diamonds, or in other words, a giant woman. Look at her. She's so beautiful, so sad and beautiful. What am I even talking about? Of myself for the pose. I will say if I could do something again, I would like to have a projector so I can get the proportions a little bit closer, a little bit more accurate. I feel like my proportions are a little off in this image, but that's okay. I ended up not recording the process of me drawing on the canvas because it was pretty hard to pick up on camera other than the giant woman. So I hope that this is good enough for you guys to see a base outline. focusing on such a small little detail. I'm not used to working this small, this intricate on details. Overall, I think that there's room for improvement, but going back to the reference image, I wanted to make this area look like the small person that you see on the boat, changing the hair a little bit to a little bit more flowy and curly. Definitely was a struggle for me of trying to figure out how to make them look appropriate and actually look like a small person on the boat. We gotta lock it. Clearly, I was freaking out and panicking over these clouds because it's such a bright color. And once that orange goes on, there is no going back. So I really had to just accept the fact that if I mess up, I could just cover it with more paint. But the clouds immediately to me started like coming in really nicely, just adding in the different layers and textures, making them nice and fluffy and soft looking. I really am proud of how the clouds turned out in this piece. They are truly the highlight and standout. Trust the process. Trust the process. Despite this yellow that we see me painting on the outline of the figures, I'm gonna be so honest with you, this yellow will completely disappear. I was so pulled into the fact that I was using yellow on the clouds that I was thinking that the light from the sun will also be yellow, and I later correct this mistake because the yellow just does not make sense on this painting. The mountains and clouds were definitely some of my favorite bits about this painting. I just found them very enjoyable to work with. The softness of the clouds contrasting the roughness of the mountains was very fun to work on because the techniques to me were very similar in how I was going about it. But I just think that the contrast of something solid touching something that is a gas, I don't know, I think there's poetry within that somewhere. Not for me to figure that out though. I thought the reflections was probably one of the more difficult parts, which sounds silly to say because I'm just repeating what I just did, just upside down. But a girl doesn't really have a concept of space. So it was just very difficult of trying to figure out how to place the reflection of the mountains, even though it's the same image, just upside down. But it's not just upside down, it's also reversed. So yeah, my brain hurts. the final stages. We are truly in the home stretch of this painting. I cut out a lot of bits of me working on the woman in the boat because I found myself struggling with it a lot. And to be honest, I'm not really too happy with how she turned out. But I also understand it is my first time working on such a small scale. So I give myself some leeway with that. Obviously gotta add that gloss, make those lips pop. This is where I took away the yellow that we saw earlier in the piece and replaced it with white. It just made a little bit more sense than having yellow light rays. Just adding the white in places that the sun would be bouncing off of her skin. Trying to make it make as much sense as possible. Now we're just adding a few stars. Oopsies. Oopsie daisy. I just want to take a moment and thank every single one of you who have made it this far into the video. I appreciate your time and patience with this. This was a very ambitious project for myself, trying a lot of new techniques, learning as I went, and there's definitely mistakes in this painting. I think that they're quite obvious, but I am willing to learn and learn how to improve upon these things within my next pieces. But overall, I am very happy with this piece. It feels the way I want it to. The clouds are very prominent and warm. Everything else feels very cold and muted. I'm very happy with this overall piece. It looks how I overall envisioned it to look. So yes, I appreciate every single one of you for sitting down and taking the time to watch this video. With that, have a beautiful rest of your day.